You heard me correctly. What if I told you that everything you believe to be true about Jim Jones and Chrissy is actually a lie? What if I told you that Camron, yes, the same Camron that we all know, just destroyed everything they've built in with a single move? He entered the courtroom and tore apart their idyllic little world. Believe me, you won't believe the secrets he just revealed. But here's the twist. Jim Jones, the man we all believe to be untouchable Chrissy, you won't even recognize her after this. She believes she could get away with it, but now that he lost everything in front of the world, he stood there vulnerable as the walls collapsed around him. Do you truly believe that Camron just revealed a scandal that would leave you feeling as though Chrissy was the mastermind behind it all, and that Jim Jones was unaware that the truth was much worse than you think? This isn't just another celebrity controversy. It's the scandal of the year. What happens when the people you trust betray you in the most visible way possible? Everything you've worked so hard to build comes tumbling down. Are you prepared to have your mind blown? Stay put, because this is just the beginning. As the days went by, the situation became more complicated, and the people stopped merely following the everyone seemed to be waiting for the next piece of the puzzle to fit together. Would Melly get away with it, or would the evidence against him be too strong? They were completely engrossed in the trial, and every new leak and rumor just served to stoke the flames. The video footage that had surfaced was overwhelming, but it lacked the clarity that everyone had hoped for. It was ambiguous and hazy, showing two persons in a car that could have been Melly and his purported accomplice Bortland, but the absence of specific information prevented a conclusive identification. Was this the smoking gun that would clear Melly's name? Or was it just another piece of evidence that would complicate matters further? The defense team took advantage of this ambiguity, arguing that the video was too hazy to be of any use in court. Instead of providing a factual explanation of what happened, the prosecution was not backing down and seized on the video to highlight yet another attempt to mislead the jury and cast doubt, a strategy intended to influence public opinion. That even if it wasn't quite obvious, Melly was present at the scene at a pivotal moment. What was even more concerning for Melly's defense was the information that some of his former colleagues had come to light, alleging that Melly had made covert threats before stating that Melly had been upset and frustrated at being deceived, and some even claimed that he had threatened to take action. Was this an innocent man's attitude, or did it allude to something far worse, as if things couldn't get much worse? That Bortland, Melly's old buddy, would take matters into his own hands if they didn't go his way. After weeks of speculation about a potential plea agreement, the co-defendant finally took action. In a startling turn of events, Portland's defense team announced that he was negotiating. Bortland had been the final line of defense for Melly's story. Thus, the prosecution's offer of a lighter sentence in exchange for evidence against him was a devastating blow to Melly's case. The prosecution had an insider with first-hand knowledge of the circumstances leading up to and now that Bortland might be flipping, the courtroom was on fire. The tension was evident as Bortland's move triggered a wave of fans of the rapper were shocked, and the Free Melly movement appeared to be waning as more and more people speculated that Melly's defense would come to an end since his best friend was going to turn on him for a reduced sentence. Even though more people began to doubt his innocence, a former member of Melly's inner circle came forward as a whistleblower, claiming to have direct knowledge of Melly's involvement in The whistleblower, who was given anonymity for their protection, claimed to have been involved in the aftermath and to have seen Melly destroy evidence. They also asserted that Melly had admitted this to them in private discussions. The whistleblower's testimony was shocking and appeared to validate the darkest suspicions of those who thought Melly was responsible. The defense, of course, tried to discredit the whistleblower by saying they were merely a resentful ex-partner seeking money and attention, but the evidence against Melly and the expanding list of witnesses were beginning to portray a concerning picture, with each fresh piece of proof that the walls were closing in on him. And then the last straw was a video of a discussion between Melly and his attorney that was released, in which Melly appeared to allude to a plea agreement. The tape was devastating. If Melly was genuinely considering a plea deal, It would indicate that he was willing to accept a guilty plea to lesser charges in order to avoid a life sentence. The prosecution quickly took advantage of the audio, presenting it as evidence that Melly knew he was guilty and that he was attempting to change the jury's verdict once and for all by admitting guilt. Dodged the repercussions of his acts by striking the deal. The defense, of course, denied the recording's authenticity, but by that point, the harm had been done, and the public was now doubting every aspect of Melly's case. Fans were divided. Some kept supporting him, saying that he was the victim of a vast conspiracy and that the system was rigged against him. Others, however, began to feel the weight of the evidence against him. Could it be, as the trial neared its conclusion, the one thing on everyone's mind was whether Melly would be free or face life in prison? The court drama had now become a worldwide sensation, spectacle that the media couldn't stop covering, and social media went crazy with every new development, leak, and development in the case. Influencers and celebrities shared their thoughts. The world appeared to be awaiting for the ultimate decision on Melly's guilt or innocence. But even as the case came to a head, the most startling development of all occurred when Melly made a statement to the court. Melly took the stand in his own defense during the last moments of the trial. His emotional testimony, in which he denied any role in the and maintained his innocence, included details about his background. It seemed to influence some individuals in the courtroom because of his hardships and his unwavering efforts to act morally, but was it sufficient? The question still stood as to whether Melly's passionate. The world would soon see whether Melly's plea to the court was sufficient to persuade a jury that he was innocent. As the trial came to a close, the jury pondered and everyone waited to see if Melly would be found guilty, or despite the overwhelming evidence against him, would he ever be free again? Regardless of the verdict, one thing was certain: this case had altered everything. The story of Y.W. Melly wasn't just about a trial. It was about a system in which a celebrity and the realms of fame and wealth collide in unexpected ways. The final act was planned, but only time would tell if the truth would ever be revealed. What happens when the truths are revealed? Begin to reveal when the truth hits the fan, and suddenly you're at the center of a scandal that you can't effectively control, and we're going to learn about it. Because of the drama between Jim, it's not just about personal betrayal between Jones and Chrissy Lampkin. Oh no, this is a full-blown public meltdown. Let's explore the mess that's making ripples on social media and beyond. When Camron on the stand, he wasn't only discussing financial manipulation or dominating relationships. He revealed an empire based on deceit, manipulation, and lies. The worst part is that the public is unaware of everything that Camron didn't disclose. According to the court documents Camron supposedly had in his possession, he has been letting those truths trickle out one by one, and they are gradually destroying Jim and Chrissy's ship. The fact that investigative reporters now hold possession documents is startling for one reason. Jim wasn't the only person who made decisions regarding his finances and profession. Rather, Chrissy was, yes, the lady who has established herself, and she wasn't simply a helpful girlfriend. She was the one making the key decisions, handling the money, and directing their story in the public view, while Jim's ride or die was covertly pulling all the strings behind the scenes. Relationship, and that's only the beginning. As you can see, Jim may have been the one rapping and entertaining the audience during his performances, but when it came to the money, the real wealth, they were talking about more than just a few endorsement deals here, and Chrissy was the one with her hands all over everything. She was supposedly the genius behind anything that had to do with their commercial dealings. Using offshore account shell firms and a network of hidden assets that only a select few were aware of, all while Jim was preoccupied with his career and believed Chrissy had his back. However, Camron wasn't finished yet. No, when he began discussing the negative aspects of his relationship, according to unnamed people familiar with the matter, Chrissy wasn't merely in charge of Jim's finances. She was also contributing to the control of his public image. Every action he took and every agreement he made was planned by Chrissy to preserve the image of the ideal pair they had developed over the years. Now, let's discuss that the money laundering element of this case is significant, Believe me, as sources claim, Camron discovered that Jim and Chrissy had engaged in some dubious financial dealings. Dubious, that is, illicit funds intended for their company were reportedly being transferred into shell corporations via concealed accounts and even utilized for personal needs unrelated to their career. But worse, it wasn't even an error. Rather, it was a well-thought-out scheme to conceal their wealth from the public, and Camron wasn't going to let them get away with it. He revealed all that happened in that courtroom, including Chrissy's manipulation of Jim and the money schemes they had been executing covertly. However, those same unnamed sources claim that the couple's shady activities didn't end there. Secrets didn't simply date back a few months or years, they went all the way back to the beginning. Chrissy had been using Jim as a pawn in her complex scheme to get power and money from the beginning of their relationship. Jim Jones is not your typical superstar. He is a rapper, a businessman, and a well-known personality in the hip-hop industry. This was not a love story gone bad, but rather a planned plot to take over Jim's life and future. It's almost poetic in a tragic way that Jim developed his career, put in the effort, and made a name for himself in the community. But behind closed doors, Chrissy was quietly developing decisions that were not only affecting their financial future, but also controlling his every action. But wait, we're not done yet. This whole problem involves more than just marital turmoil or financial manipulation. It also involves the public had a field day on social media after Camron revealed the truth about what was actually happening. And that's where things get interesting. Fans turned against Jim and Chrissy in a level they had never seen before. Before the internet's shockwaves were noticeable, everyone, from hip-hop fans to onlookers, began researching their past and exposing all of their dubious actions. People began to ask, was what we witnessed on? And the response, according to Camron, was yes. Then came the bit that really hammered home. Jim Jones was no longer the guy in command once the TV show ended. His empire began to fall apart after trial revelations were made public, and even his closest supporters began to turn against him, questioning whether they had fallen for the same lies that was produced by Chrissy. The betrayal was genuine, and the harm was irrefutable, but the issue that everyone has is still where Jim will go from here. The truth is that the harm that these revelations may cause might be, and yes, Jim is a warrior and a survivor, but this isn't just about a rivalry with Camron or some fictional TV drama. It's about his entire public persona being destroyed by the one he trusted the most, and worse. If you believe that Jim Jones is having a difficult time right now, he has lost control of the narrative since everyone is suddenly doubting everything he has ever said and done. After all that has been made public, Chrissy isn't exactly winning popularity contests, and fans and even some of her friends are beginning to recognize her for who she really is. Just wait till you see how she's handling things. Really is, and the backlash will only worsen, but we're only just beginning. The public fallout is already starting, and I assure you that this will not be a brief scandal. The more people discuss it, the more secrets will surface, so hold on tight because this roller coaster is only beginning. Keep an eye out because now that we've delved into the problem, you never know what will happen next. Let's talk about the aftermath, as it's when things get even more intense. The courtroom drama, the lies, the financial secrets, after the scandal and the public pandemonium. First of all, Jim Jones' reputation is in ruins. He went from being a well-respected member of the hip-hop community to being the target of mockery. The true repercussions are only now beginning to materialize, and rumors in the blink of an eye. You understand how the internet operates. One slip-up, one shocking disclosure, and it seems like you're just a hashtag. Jim Jones defrauded anyone, and worse, people stop taking when your entire career has been based on devotion, respect, and street cred. Having your closest pals turn against you is like having your back stabbed by the same people. That's not something you can easily recover from, who were meant to support you. But the worst part is that his career isn't just personal, it's professional as well. His music isn't even making an impression on the charts, his brand is faltering, and his tours have been downsized. Back-end ticket sales have dropped significantly. Nobody wants to be associated with a man who is now widely perceived as weak, manipulative, and may be involved in dubious activities. And let's face it, nobody in the hip-hop industry wants to do that. Wants to be but you also lose all the power you once believed you had. Concerning being a rapper with a few successes, but now it's about surviving the harm to your reputation. And believe me, this will have a negative impact that Jim won't be able to get over. Meanwhile, Chrissy Lampkin, she's not much better. In fact, if you thought her role in this drama would go unnoticed, think again. She's been pulled through the muck with Jim, and worse, she may have even started it all. Chrissy was supposedly directing the show behind the scenes, but now that she's being revealed as the true mastermind behind the lies and manipulation, those ideal couple feelings were just that. Although she may have deceived the public for years, she is now the one bearing the consequences because the public views her as nothing more than a manipulative character and feels that she is using Jim as a puppet in a bigger game of deception. Falling apart more quickly than a house of cards, but don't believe me, let's discuss the consequences based on sources. I'm referring to some actual insider information here, and the backlash against Chrissy is no, in addition to the internet trolls who are having a field day with Chrissy exposed. Joke fans are demanding answers and calling for her to be held responsible for the way she managed Jim's career and finances. And every tweet, meme, and comment serves as a reminder that the world has had enough of her. She is no longer viewed as the devoted girlfriend supporting her partner. Instead, she is portrayed as a cunning person who exploited their relationship for selfish ends. Gain, and it's a persistent narrative. Let's discuss the legal repercussions because, wow, things are getting serious. The courtroom drama didn't only reveal personal secrets, it also brought up some serious legal red flags. We're talking about possible financial fraud, money laundering, and business deal manipulation. And you can bet your bottom dollar that the law will start looking around. That things are going to get ugly. Authorities are apparently investigating potential money laundering schemes as part of continuing investigations into the couple's financial transactions, according to information from unidentified sources, offshore accounts, and concealed assets. And these aren't just media accusations. Investigations are actually taking place. If the claims are accurate, we may face some significant charges, such as tax evasion and even criminal conspiracy, are serious issues, people. Now, things get even more complicated. Jim Jones may no longer be in charge, but Chrissy is still in hot water, according to people with knowledge of the case. Imply that she is already planning to break off her relationship with Jim. You understand that when the chips are down and the chips are down, the first person to jump ship is typically the one who has been pulling the strings. Chrissy has been accused of controlling Jim by using his profession as a springboard to establish her own empire. But what happens if her business fails? You can guarantee she does, and that's the next stage of the repercussions. Jim and Chrissy's separation isn't simply a personal one. It's a public and professional split that will have long-term effects, according to sources who already claim that things are becoming ugly behind the scenes. What does this mean for Jim and Chrissy's future? Well, we know that their relationship, business endeavors, and financial matters are all falling apart, and the stress is growing every day. There is little doubt that the path ahead will be lengthy and difficult. Nobody will soon forget the disaster they have created. The public is watching them closely at every turn, so they have well prepared for what lies ahead. Since the truth always finds a way to surface, and in this instance, it has already been made public. Let's conclude, shall we? Jim and Chrissy believed they could deceive everyone, but they ultimately succeeded only in. We're all watching as it all collapses, and what's going on today isn't just about a couple's failing relationship. It's about an enterprise based on deceit and deception. Will Jim be? Time will tell if Chrissy is able to move on from this, or if she is held accountable for what she has done. But one thing is certain, this issue isn't going away anytime soon, so keep an eye out. This concludes today's spectacular story, but believe me, we're not finished yet. The drama, the lies, the betrayal, this saga is far from over, and you know that there's more to it than meets the eye. This is your time to join the discussion and be the first to hear what happens next. Do you believe Jim Jones will recover from this huge scandal? Can Chrissy save her reputation, or has she lost everything? Please share your thoughts in the comment section below. I know you have strong feelings about this, so don't be afraid to voice them. Let's see who is still on their side and who is prepared to end their relationship. If the twists and turns we've revealed today have left you feeling shaken, you should watch this video. It's about time the truth was revealed. If you want more juicy exposés like this one, click the subscribe button and turn on the notifications because, believe me, we're constantly going above and beyond to bring you the authentic tales you won't find anywhere else. Get ready for what's coming up next. Since the drama is only getting began and things will only get more insane than this, you won't not wanting to miss a moment of it.